Welcome to another episode of The Read Pile. I would like to do something a little bit different this week. Ordinarily, there's two main reasons why I do this series of videos. The one I talk about most often is I would like to read or reread many of the things that are in this room that I either have never read but bought many years ago, or that I read and now don't remember. So these are two examples, and the other reason is I like to promote things I like. However, when there is a book that I decide I'm not going to keep, I don't usually do a video on that. I just don't have much to say other than I didn't enjoy it. These two, I think I do have something to say. So I'm going to talk a bit about these, and I'm not keeping either one of them. But I'm going to start with X-Men here. This is Fatal Attractions, and I got two X collections, two 90s X-Men collections. This is a few years ago. I think probably as a result of building out my Marvel Legends X-Force collection. I just got nostalgic. I wanted to reread some of the big events that happened in my brief 90s period of reading X titles, and that was Executioner's Song, which was the big Strife story, and then Fatal Attractions, which is where Wolverine gets his adamantium skeleton ripped out through his skin. It's pretty fun. So this was, I mean, it's absolutely massive. I don't remember how many pages this is, like 400 and something, almost 5. Yeah, it's 488 pages. This took a while to get through. This was a constant on my nightstand for months. I didn't read it every night. Usually there was a single issue on top of that I was reading instead. But I did eventually get through this. It was a chore. It was not exactly enjoyable. And for that reason, I'm getting rid of this. This is going in the to-go pile. The root of that is I just can't stand 90s writing. I do not understand people that enjoy comics from the 60s, 70s, 80s. I cannot stand the writing. I think it's horrible. I think this writing was terrible. It's mostly characters giving these giant speeches, and it just, none of it seems realistic. No one would pause long enough to allow someone to give a giant speech like this. Here Magneto's interrupting a funeral. But it's just, it's soap opera like. And then I should mention the art as well. So there's a huge number of artists on here. Some of them quite good, some of them, I'll say, less so. But the art is very varied, I'll say. It's varied from one issue to the next. There isn't much consistency. But yeah, I did not enjoy this. So this needs to go. There were chunks of this that I hadn't read before, so I must not have read the entire crossover originally, but this needs to go. I can't deal with this. The other book that took months to get through is Berlin. This is book 1. I've owned this, I don't know how many years. I tried multiple times to read this. I figured this was my time. I was going to get all the way through it. I was going to finally finish, make a decision about whether or not to keep it, and I made it to page 80, I think, before I finally gave up. I still have a bookmark in here. I don't, but I made it to the end of chapter 3, and it's good. I like the art. I'll show it off. Right, so the art is very accomplished. It's consistent. It's one guy. There's no problems with the art. It is with the plot, with the non-existence of a story. This, after 80 pages, what I can tell you is this is a series of very short stories involving characters. There are recurring characters like this guy, but there isn't an overall, there's no cohesive overall story. It's post-World War I Germany, which is, I think, a fascinating time period. I'm learning a lot while reading this. However, the lack of a overall story, it's historical fiction period piece slice of life, and I just can't deal with it anymore. As if this were just straight up historical fiction, I would like that more than whatever's happening here. But this sort of slice of life non-story, I just can't get into it. I'm not attached to any of these characters. I just do not care. And I'm finally giving up on this book. If anyone is interested, give it a shot yourself, but I am calling it quits on this. So these are two books that I took months of attempts to read and months to work through, and I'm calling it quits on both. But there is very much there's very much a limit on how far back in like big two comics I can go, and it's really anything further back than where I started. I can't deal with the writing. I find it terrible. And even I've been rereading some of the 90s Amazing Spider-Man as well, and for some reason in that I can slip back into this nostalgic state of mind and accept it. But this X-Men, oh man, it's terrible. It is truly awful. I do not recommend revisiting comics from your youth. But that's me, and I have very particular taste, and I feel constantly like I am in the minority, given that so many people have nostalgia for comics from decades that I just cannot read.